quick reminder, I am now a certified life coach. So get you some life coaching by just simply clicking the link in the bio, man, and seeing if, that's what you would like to do for yourself. I'm the greatest. Just know that. You go be the greatest if you get coached by the greatest. So if you want to be the first to get to check out the magazine, make sure you join the Patreon. Or if you want to, join it without being on a monthly subscription, you do have the option of Cash App. Details on that coming. When you do decide to sign up for either coaching or literally just, becoming part of the business and part of the team, whatever you want to do, or knowledge, because I got lots of knowledge that I could just give out as far as like what I've been learning. Anyways, when you do decide that you're ready to sign up for the Patreon or sign up for life coaching or anything of that nature, this is definitely a direct line to that. Now, make sure you put in the for section what it's for, or I'm going to just assume that it's just like a gift, okay? Okay.
Greatest wall ever created, and it's in Africa. How has nobody said anything?
The pylons that you see here, the books in stones that it says in the Pur Emerald. The Pur Emerald, the books in stone, mean everywhere you see on the temple, you see the Neter Shishata, okay, or the Medu Neter as well. The Medu Neter, the carved in the temple everywhere. The first language, long before Aramaic, long before these contemporary languages of the day, all over the temple. Medu Neter, all over the temple. You're in the books in stone, brothers and sisters. So when you look at the Medu Neter here, this is truly the books in stone. What makes written on paper, where the name gets its name from papyrus, what makes is written on paper more sacred than is written on the books in stone? It goes back thousands of years. Spiritual stories and writings and representation, where here we see Ursima Ra Septepen Ra the third carved 10 inches into the temple. Let's go on the other side, and I can show you clearly some of the Medu Neter that the Greeks referred to as the hieroglyphics. Okay, and many of the Greeks could not even read the Medu Neter, so you saw many of the Shanus were blank. This is long before Aramaic, long before Hebrew, long before Arabic, long before the Sumerian writing. We see the earliest writing known to the world in the books in stone to give validation. And Ramesu, look at this. He made that where you could stick your hand all the way up into the Medu Neter, so it could not be erased. And here you have repetitions of spiritual ideas, and here we have the Sutenbet, Neb Tui, the dog figure, Ursa, Ma'at, Ra, Murray, Amen, Sa, Ra, Neb, Kadu, Ramesu. Now, what's it saying here? The king of Upper and Lower Egypt, okay? The king of Upper and Lower Egypt. Okay, Nebtui, the lord of the two lands. That's Tamari and Ta-Nehisi. Okay? Ursa, the power of Ra. Okay? Ahmed, Ma'at, that means truth, justice, and righteousness. Loved by Amen. Look at this. Sa, Ra, son of God. Then Neb Kadu, Lord, King of Kings. Where have you heard Lord, King of Kings at? In the Bible. Huh? Is that right? And Revelations, Lord, King of Kings. That came out of Neb Kadu. That means Lord, King of Kings, plural. Okay? And Rames, he's born of Rames. He's born of Rames. So this is where many ideas were taken out of the ancient Medu Neter. So Son of God, Neb Kadu, Lord, King of Kings, also Septepen Ra. Septepen Ra means, I don't see it on the temple here now, Septepen Ra means chosen by God. So these are the ancient spiritual stories that others came and literally plagiarized many ideas from these Medu Neter, and this became the best kept secret in the Western world. Not to reveal where the Western world got many of its ideas directly out of the Medu Neter itself. Most of what we know about the Medu Neter is through the Rosetta Stone that was illegally taken by Napoleon's army in 1799. And here this goes back to the priesthood of Menefer, forced to honor Ptolemies. The Ptolemies took over after Alexander, the fifth of Epiphanes, in around 196 BCE. When the Romans came here, nobody could read the Medu Neter. That's why some of the Shanus are blank, that the Karihabs didn't acknowledge these Greeks on the throne like the Ptolemies. And how did they break some of the code? They have not been able to decipher all of the Medu Neter. They have been able to decipher some of it, but it had an esoteric and exoteric interpretation. So Champollion, when Napoleon's army came here, they stole a stone called the Rosetta Stone and it dealt it in a place called Rosetta. And they took that stone back to Europe and they started to study this stone. What is this message? What are they saying on these temples? As you see, the Medu Neter is everywhere, so it was a mystery. It was an ancient language at this time. And then Champollion was able to see, he was able to read Greek, and he was able to decipher Cleopatra the seventh name and the Demotic. And then he was able to decipher a lot of, as the Greeks called the Medu Neter, heretic. And then they were able to break the code on the surface. But you had a priestly language, which more is an esoteric, language, and an exoteric language, an inner and outer. They've never to this day reached the inner meaning of the Medu Neter. But Champollion came and carved his name right there, Champollion, on the temple. Did he climb up there on a ladder to do it? No. At that time, when they came in here, these temples were covered in sand, so it was probably at a distance about right here that he was able to write it. That's why when you look up at the temples, in many cases, when you see names up there, that's because the dirt was up that high. You saw the lecture, they only dug these temples out in the turn of the century. Just a couple more things before we move. Keep in mind, when you say Egyptology, that's connected to white supremacy and the colonial period of Egypt. That's what Egyptology is. They literally cut out a piece of Africa and called it Egyptology. If we call it anything, we should call it chematology or Africanology. But Egyptology is equated with white supremacy and colonialism. Also,
that's why I be so late posting and sending stuff to y'all. Oh, you think it's funny, huh? You think it's funny? Also, when you get time, make sure you go ahead and just run this up for me. You know what I'm saying? It's been out for 2 years. You need to go ahead and hit 1K. Make sure you also subscribe to that channel, please. But just make sure you run this up for sure. That's all, folks. But yeah.